workout is the last in the series Scaffolding for Success, and it has to do with staying motivated. Motivation is one of the two big keys to being successful. The first one is your belief system, and the second one is motivation. Anytime you're doing something new, if you don't have those two in place, everything else kind of falls apart. So just reviewing the scaffolding process. Scaffolding, just like if you're remodeling or building a home, is what we put up to make sure that the structure stays intact and the workmen, which is us, are able to have what we need, the resources we need to do the job that needs to be done. We're remodeling ourselves, our minds and our bodies. Scaffolding provides stability. It helps us identify resources that we need to be successful, creates a safety net, gives us security, and it allows us to connect with our identity, with authenticity, and with courage. So it becomes really important. Motivation is part of our scaffolding and is an important part of what we're up to when we've had weight loss surgery. So I always like to start with James Clear when we talk about motivation. He's the author of the book Atomic Habits. If you haven't read it, please do yourself a favor and read it, and then read it about every year. It's a great book. It's easy to read. He's got so many ideas. He has a weekly newsletter. I'm really a fan of his. And every year when I read it, I read something different because I am a different person every year when I read it. So one thing that he talks about is that motivation doesn't come from being motivated. Usually we're not motivated. It comes after we've started a new behavior. We have this misconception that we get motivated and then we do something, and sometimes that does happen. But most of the time, it's the result of doing something and not the cause of it. When I started going to the gym, I was not motivated. You thought I was going to die. It was a terrible thing. But the more I went, the more excited I got, and the more fun it was for me, and the more motivated I felt. And I'm really, really surprised that I'm enjoying the gym so much. Motivation over time creates momentum, and momentum is what keeps us going day by day, whether we feel motivated or not. So we want to keep doing the thing that we're working on until it reaches momentum, and then it takes on a life of its own. So the biggest issue with motivation is overcoming inertia. Inertia is pushing that boulder up the hill until we get to the top and it'll start rolling down on its own, and that's what momentum looks like. The most important part of any task is starting, and I might add sometimes it's planning, as long as you start. Not get so involved in the planning that you never start. James Clear has 3 suggestions for what new tasks should look like. First, he says it has to be easy. If it's too hard, we won't get started on it. And then it's got to get you moving, because inertia comes from just sitting down and doing nothing, or watching TV, or doing a lot of self-talk, or getting lost on a device or whatever. So it has to get you up and going. And then you have to follow the same pattern every time, the same time of day, or the same routine, or the same clothes, or the same meal every single time until you get it going. And then it takes on a life of its own. So there's one other really important principle. It's called the Goldilocks rule. We as human beings are wired to enjoy challenges, but they can't be too easy and they can't be too hard. They have to be just right. So that becomes kind of the 4th rule, I guess, is making sure that whatever it is you're working on is easy enough to motivate you and get you going. It's not too easy so that it's not challenging, and it has to be easy enough not to discourage you. So looking at the Goldilocks rule, which is the task needs to be, or the goal needs to be just right. So what that means is you can change your goal if you want to. If you find that your goal is too easy, make it a little harder. Or if you find it's too hard, then trim it down a little bit, make it a little easier. I've been working on different pre-programmed tapes about workout videos. I was on the elliptical the other day, and I realized that I had gone way above my capacity. It looked doable, but halfway through I realized if I don't stop within 5 minutes, I'm probably just going to either have a heart attack or fall over. And so I cut my goal back. I let myself work another 15 seconds, which seemed reasonable, and then do a pretty good cool down. and let go of that goal. Remade my goal because my goal was too hard. He has some thoughts in his book, and some of these are my thoughts about how to maintain motivation, and I really love these. Tracking your progress, just like you track your food. The things that we measure are the things that we improve. And measure from a place of curiosity, openness, and self-awareness. Do not measure from a place of judgment, because if we do that, we'll get discouraged and give up. So our feedback, they're not failure. Just like me on the elliptical, I didn't fail because I didn't get through the workout. I just didn't realize how hard it was really going to be. So it was feedback for me, and I'm going to get through that workout, but I'm going to do it in a series of weeks and not right then the first time. Measure to see if you are showing up and living your life mindfully. Is this the kind of life you're happy to live? If you're not happy to live the kind of life you're living, change it. Put some things in there that you enjoy better, or take some things out that you're just not enjoying at all. Remember that thoughts create feelings, feelings create actions, and so if you keep your thoughts positive, your feelings will be positive and your actions will be positive. Some of us tend to look at the glass half empty rather than half full, and so we have to work to find the positive in things, and that's okay. That's actually a skill, and if you look at it as a skill, something that you get good at, it's actually a plus and not a minus. Make sure you keep things in perspective and realize that discomfort is temporary. So lean into it, let it teach you. Ask yourself, what am I learning from this experience? James Clear said, you will never regret good work once it's done. We want the gold, but not the grind, and that is the truth. And we get the gold, but we have to get to the grind first. And then he also says, this is what life looks like. What is life if not the sum of 100,000 daily battles and tiny decisions to either gut it out or give it up? And that's really the bottom line when it comes to motivation. So it's just telling yourself over and over again that you can do it. And if you need to cut back a little bit, do the Goldilocks rule and cut back. Or if it's too easy, then do the Goldilocks rule and make it a little bit more challenging for you. So for the reflection today, in your journal, answer this question: if your motivation falls below a 6 on a 1 to 10 scale, and remember, every day you're checking your scales on your motivation and your beliefs. So it's not necessary to do this every day, but if it gets below a 6, then this is the answer for that. Look at the ideas on that slide we just reviewed and choose one of them or one of your own, and make that your top goal until your motivation level gets back up above a 6. Make sure you write it down so that your self-talk will reflect that idea. And remember that you can talk yourself through this. It just takes a little bit of time, a little bit of remembering, a teeny bit of effort, but you've got this. Enjoy your day, stay motivated, and we'll talk to you next time.